to a big reward in this regard. Other than, you know, if you're not confident with your late game bosses, that could be a challenge. Okay, well, looks like we're getting ready to get started here. I'll quickly tee it off really quick. So obviously, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, third game in the Shantae series. Events of this game take place right after the events of Risky's Revenge, where Shantae has been removed or had her powers stripped and is basically full human in this particular one. We're going to be running the new game plus mode called Pirate Mode, where you start off with all of Risky's pirate gear, meaning that we're going to be able to go very fast. We're going to have boots so we can charge, scimitars so we can downstab things to break through things, so we can do a little bit of sequence breaking just to make sure, or basically to progress very quickly through the story. And looks like our racers are off, so we'll quickly start off here with Shantae waking up, and then Majadi, I'm sorry, I'm just talking your ear off here. Go ahead and talk about our opening sequence, please.
Yeah, so through the opening few screens here, normally just have a couple of jumps, few enemies to kill. However, both runners are going to be charging through the enemies, deciding to kill any number of guards, depending on how much they want to try for some certain item drops. They'll be wanting either a pipe ball or a monster milk. Monster milk being an extremely rare drop, but would help speed up the first boss fight against Ammo Baron quite a bit.
Oh, go ahead.
Both players pick up a pipe ball, and also be looking for some gems here.
Yeah, they looks like they're both opting to just go after the gray guards, which have a better drop chance rate. I mean, any guard here can really drop something that they could use later in the run, but the gray ones give them the best opportunity. So it looks like they're opting to save frames by avoiding as much contact damage and just go for the obvious ones here.
Yeah, there's a couple of fixed gem spots, like the pot that both players just run through there, giving them 5 gems. Other than that, it's mostly down to RNG, depending on what they get. Both runners using to use their pike ball here to break the bridge slightly quicker, which should then last into the first boss fight against Ammo Baron. Unless they get really bad RNG, it should last the entire fight.
Oh, Trent just missing an item opportunity. That item bag spawned a little late, so it probably going to haunt him, thinking, what was that item? And, you know, could it have been a monster milk? But both of them starting that first boss, and again, this boss is RNG, as Majadi alluded to. A couple of things that he can do. The one thing you don't want to see are charges, which I think both have now experienced at least one. So although he's doing it, he's not being as trolly as he really could, and he's actually feeding him the earlier red ball rather than going the full cycle of the cannons in some of these cases. So I'd say it's middle of the road. It's not the best RNG, but both runners getting at least a relatively decent one there at 210-ish. So it's not a bad start.
Yeah, that's pretty much average around 212, 213 is about what you can expect out of Ammo Baron.
Alright, so now we're going to be mashing through a bit of text here. For the story, Ammo Baron is actually the rightful mayor of town, based on the events of Risky's Revenge. So for assaulting the mayor, we're now going to be given a court summons, and Shantae seems to be pretty happy about that. I don't know about anyone else, but I know I'm not very happy when I'm summoned to court.
She does get a free haircut out of it, so maybe it costs a lot, I don't know.
I guess, yeah. I mean, she doesn't really want to lose it, but hey, a free haircut is indeed a free haircut. But it's been a long day, so we'll go ahead and take a bath. Shout-outs to Trap Tub.
I'm still confident one day she will learn her lesson.
Yeah, one of these days she'll remember. But Risky, being the conniving engineer with her Tinkerbats behind her, has learned how to install plumbing as well as completely craft a tub that can trap our less magical friend today. And she's taking Shantae to Uncle Mimic's workshop, where she's claiming that, you know, her and her uncle are behind the kidnapping of her men and stealing all of her pirate gear. Funny that we have all of that right now, but unfortunately this purple miasma comes and transforms the bat into an actual cackle bat, and we have to quickly take that out. This will be the only one that we officially fight. You'll see a couple more throughout the run, but this is the only one we'll be killing because it's story related. Different category, all dark magic, would require killing all 20 to get a better ending for the game. In this category, we're only going to kill that one and move forward.
So both players now will be going to visit Sky to pick up the library card. before heading to do a mandatory save in town here. Otherwise, the guard won't let them leave.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they implemented that for both this one and Risky's Revenge. It's the only two Shantaes that required a mandatory save to leave the initial starting areas. But you know, I think they wanted to teach the players, you know, saving is a good thing. It's very important. You don't know what you're going to run into. But our runners obviously know what they're going to run into. They've both experienced here. And speaking of running into things, you'll notice both runners running through Scarecrow fields and taking the opportunity to hit as many of these Scarecrows as possible. And they're looking for some RNG to be in their favor to give them a drop. I believe 17 Bird landed a pike ball out of that. Might have missed that. But
yeah, he got a pike ball, although both of them did get a pike ball in the opening sequence. So Bird is good on pike balls for the things you need them for. They'll be hoping for more later on for bosses, but Trent is one which is normally good enough, and they'll have an opportunity to get more before they need more.
Yeah. And really quick, we're going to take this detour into the sewers here and take advantage of a lingering hitbox on these snakes. So the reason that they're pogoing these snakes in that tight area is because that hitbox stays around. You're able to hit it 3 times during the pogo, and this allows us a chance to get more than just one single drop from them. And I think Trent's short on his flush pops, but he's not fully aware.
I think he got 2 from the bottom one, so he should
maybe
be fine,
he did.
But
It was really close, but he may have just the minimum 3. I mean, that's the ideal. You should like to get 3 from one of the snakes and just move on. If you get more, that's good because you can use them for animation skips. Okay, he's good. I was worried for a second there. But taking advantage of a little bit of a glitch in the software there allows us to at least progress things a little bit quicker. Fortunately, neither runner having to go farm any additional snakes, which can happen, I'd say kind of rarely, but happens more frequently than any runner would like to see. But with that, they get the key, they open up the palace, and we're just going to do one last little bit of errand running here by giving our court summons over to this old gentleman who will bury it in red tape, and we'll go ahead and grab this map and make our way back to Scuttletoe.
yeah, and on their way back, you'll probably see both runners use a pike ball. The reason for this is that when you charge up, you initially start doing 15 damage. However, that's not enough to kill these orcs. The more enemies you kill, the more damage your charge does. So coming from the left, by the time they get these orcs, they have enough damage to kill them. However, coming from the right, they don't have enough damage, but with the use of the pike ball, that gives you enough damage to kill them, and you get some extra gem drops, hopefully.
Yeah, and fortunately, the screen transition allows the pike ball to line up just perfectly where it swings around to hit these orcs, as 17 Bird gets himself another pike ball just right before entering town. Trent getting himself a food item from one of the last orcs there. So it's not the best RNG start. I mean, they're getting items, but they're not the ones that I think either runner is really looking for.
Both of them have a decent gem count here, so they have some options. Did Bird buy 4 pirate flares there?
I didn't quite catch it. I was looking to see. I was checking on something with Trent, and I didn't catch exactly what Bird purchased.
7, and he was 157, so that makes sense for him to have bought there, as Trent is doing the same thing.
Yeah, so it looks like both runners are setting up for a 2-shop route. I think everyone's taking a cue from you, Majati.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see indeed. Yeah, I came up with that strategy because I wanted something more consistent for the tournament for 2 shops, and yeah, it looks like it's catching on.
Well, the consistency factor of it, I can definitely vouch for. It works really well because you can always just buy whatever RNG doesn't give you, and if RNG gives, well, then you can definitely save a little bit of time throughout it, but I don't know. It's kind of close. I think it actually matches pretty well with the world record current strat of 3. All right, so 17 Birds picking up this ham stink here. We've got to our first island. There's some weird things going on, but we're looking for our first den of evil. And in our exploration of this, we came across Twitch and Vinegar, who came to enjoy the local hot springs. And unfortunately, everything's all dried up. But fortunately, they did bring ham, and a few whacks of that ham releases a stink, which we will then use, as you see 17 Bird doing. On the Gigalumix up here, he gets excited by ham and likes it. So the pausing there was intentional. It helps to skip an animation there of the Gigalumix waking up first before opening his mouth and drooling. Unfortunately, neither runner getting the cut, though, where you could actually drop off that ledge. It saves just a couple more extra seconds by cutting out that animation of the stink going into the Gigalumix's nose. So close on Tret's side, but neither one getting it. But both are really relatively close. Drop down into this nice pool of drool, and Twitch and Big are unawares of exactly where this source of water has come from, are super happy to go for a swim.
Yeah, they clearly didn't read the island name when they decided to come here.
Oh, apparently not. I think that would have been a dead giveaway for me. But as they enjoy their warm and viscous bath, Shantae will continue her way into our very first dungeon, Spittle Maze. So again, more mouth lubrication, I guess you could say, references.
So what they'll be doing when they get in Spittle Maze is doing a technique called the Risky Shuffle to build up a charge and charge into this wall on the right. And there they'll be going into a bonus dungeon, which is an homage to the Game Boy Color version, the very first Shantae game. Ooh, and what they'll be doing here is, yeah, very nice bubble shield. And you really need one of those in the run too, as ideal. But what they'll be doing here is collecting 2 keys. The way keys work in this game is that they are global keys, so they work in any dungeon. So we collect 2 keys in this optional dungeon, and then we'll be using them later on in the run to save us having to go further and collect 2 other keys.
That low strat that Trent takes always makes me nervous, because I think there's a death blade in there, but he just kind of runs down there, avoiding everything, and then pops back up just in time to catch the vertical corridor. It's an interesting strat. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, I think the bottom of that floor is actually coded as spikes instead of as a death pit.
Ah, well then that works then, because you can run on spikes while you're in the risky charge, so fair play to him for figuring that out. He just basically is trying to save time by not running the risk of running into one of those crab monsters, so
or hitting your head on the wall is very possible to do as well, and then coming slightly short.
Yeah, it's a tight platforming segment when you're trying to go fast, so that makes sense.
You see Trent there using his bento box as food item to do an animation skip. So the way that works is if you use a healing item, be it a potion or a food item, as you're landing on a key, instead of playing the pickup animation, you'll instead just play the food consume animation, which is significantly shorter and saves you about 2 or 3 seconds.
Bird in the Wetman room. Neither runner, I don't believe, has picked up any sort of monster milk. I might have missed as I was kind of catching up on Chet a little bit. So probably gonna see standard strats here. They're not too much of a threat. You can pogo on their head, but I'm gonna try to do a few different things. And the reason for the pogo is because it does hit both of the Wetman rather than a singular one like the cannon strikes do. So even though it's 1 less point of damage, you're actually able to spread that damage across both, which is good. As 17 Bird will now be going into his first boss fight, the Cyclops plant, and much like the snakes in the sewers, we're going to try to employ that same mechanic with the saber in a tight space, and it just melts him down because, you know, we're just bouncing off of that monster's hitbox and destroying it. So we're going to see how his second phase goes, as he easily nails the first phase.
Something I want to point out quickly is the difference in their gem count at this point. They were both pretty even leaving the first island, but Bird picked up a good 20, the odd gem lead there, which can be quite significant, so he must have been getting just better drops throughout.
Yeah, I think he did get quite a few extra drops from monsters in general, which was, again, just pure RNG, but definitely working in his favor. It's a lot more security as we go through the run. I mean, he's already got a couple of items that he's going to need for late game, but it's always good to have that extra. It saves you some time, too, because then you don't have to deviate from route to get extra gems if you feel like you need them.
So it's just small things like that that can add up over the course of the run. And Bird using his Pirate Flare here, so he's not going for the additional shop.
Yeah, he saves himself just a few seconds there. I didn't notice when he went through the island in the first place if he took time to open that door. If he did remember to do that, that's fine, because he can do it on the well, he wouldn't do it on the revisit. He'd have to go through the normal routing, but opting to save just a few seconds by using that. I mean, it's not a long trek back to the boat from there. So interesting strategy from 17. I don't think I've ever seen him do that before.
Yeah, as Trent just running back and getting a meat chunklet for his trouble as well, so that will probably save him almost as much time as using a pirate flare would do if he used that for an animation skip.
Yeah, indeed. Alright, 17 Bird doing one of the first sequence breaks again because we have all the pirate gear. We're able to get this fossil early, which normally you would backtrack to in a normal playthrough. As he makes his way through these ghost rooms here, these vertical rooms, these ghosts appear at pretty much random spots. I think they have a general area of where they can appear, but where exactly, no one knows until it, pretty much you're heading that way as Trent finds out the hard way there. These ghosts can be pretty brutal, or a wrong hit sends you back to the bottom of the room. But neither runner experiencing that, at least not so far, as 17 Bird enters Run Run Roddy Tops.
Yeah, Run Run Roddy Tops is a interesting section of the game. It's effectively an auto-scroller in that we can't speed it up too much. However, there are opportunities to lose time if you do make mistakes, or if just you get a bad cycle. So if you get hurt by any enemy here, you'll be sent back to the start of the room, as Bird makes it past the gatekeeper, no trouble at all. So yeah, get hurt by any of the enemies, get sent back to the start of the room, and you have to go through it again. And the length of the rooms can be quite large, so you can have 30+ second time loss in some of the longer rooms.
Yeah, indeed, especially if it happens right at the end. The 17 struggling a couple of late tongue drops and takes one of those from the tongue dropper at the end there. Fortunately, that's probably one of the easier ones to swallow from a time loss perspective, as that room is not very large. Ooh, Trent, like, not an official stake jump, but yeah, 17 Bird, I kind of figured with that death, it might have messed with the global timers on these spikes for him a little bit. So he's going to have a little extra waiting to do as he goes through this, probably the most auto-scrolling feeling room of the entire segment, because you can do nothing about these spikes.
Yeah, Trent got past Gatekeeper on the first attempt, but unfortunately ran into the tongue shortly after, but then Gatekeeper getting him on the second attempt, so unfortunate room there for Trent.
Yeah, it'll allow 17 Bird to pull ahead a little bit, even though Bird did struggle a little bit. But still, just every little advantage in this part, definitely helps. So we'll see how the rest of it goes. There's still a lot of Run Run Roddy Tops left to go, because this is probably about 4.5 to 5 minutes in duration as this segment goes, and it sometimes feels longer. Just depends. All right. Nice tongue skip there as 17 Bird now enters this room with these gravestones. The way these gravestones work is there's only certain ones that'll move. The runners definitely know which one those are, but when they move and what direction they move in is pure RNG, so it's always better to just plan that that's going to happen and just stay out of the way of them just in case anything happens, because obviously, again, a death will just cost you time, sending you back to the beginning of the room, and you try to avoid that wherever possible.
Yeah, there are some unfortunate patterns you can get where you have only a few frames to react to them. There's a couple of places where that happens, even if you jump where you want to jump, but thankfully that doesn't happen too often.
17 Bird navigating through one of the longer rooms. This one's not particularly threatening, with these robots that just want to give Shantae and Roddy a nice hug and a kiss, but the girls really don't want anything to do with them, so staying out of the path is the best way to go, but it's just a lot of winding back and forth and making its way, so it's just one of the longer rooms just because of the layout.
Yeah, and Bird on that previous screen going for some short jumps there to fall down slightly quicker just to save a few frames, and maybe got both jumps with no problem at all.
Yeah, Bulldozer, these are one-hit kills. It's just kind of like a mini-game, I guess you could call it in a way. It's not, there's no health meter, though. It's not like you can game over here. So all the punishment is you get sent back to the beginning of the room that you took the death in. So there's no danger of game overing at this particular part. It's just kind of an exercise in tedium, as Gates of Hell unfortunately closed for 17 Bird. You'll have to wait just an extra cycle there for that, but Steven's not giving him any trouble, as he almost got hit with the short charge on the taco jump, but managed to avoid that shot there.
Yeah, Steven's being nice to him there. Because yeah, Bird's in the final room now, which has basically a combination of all the previous rooms. You'll see every enemy, every mechanic you faced previously, all combined into one. And at the end, there's a fairly tricky section with gravestones and tongues, which, if you get hit on, it can send you back.
Didn't feel confident getting that skip there. I think it was probably a smart call, but I think he would have made it. But he'd rather err on the side of caution here. All right, so 17 Bird is free. Made it through. Only one last challenge is just not getting hit by that Tinkerbat. And we'll be bringing Roddy Tops home, who, by the way, had faked an injury this entire time to be carried. She just wanted to spend time with Shantae, and, you know, being a zombie, I don't think a spider bite's too threatening, but Shantae totally fell into the trap and did the solid for Roddy, and not too happy about it, but we'll just move on.
Trent taking a small gamble there by jumping into the gravestones at the end, not landing between them, and fortunately for him, not getting caught out, and a gravestone didn't activate at a bad time for him.
Yeah, that's a very risky play because, again, taking that hit sends you back to the beginning of that room, and that one by itself, I want to say, is upwards of 30 seconds. So you're really taking a big risk there, but fortunately having it work in his favor. All right, so we've given the squid oil to Poe. It allows him to repair this wagon, and it's now the major mode of transportation on this island, as Shantae would refuse to ever go through Run Run Roddy Tops again. And for our trouble, we get a shriveled thing, which unfortunately does still smell for 17 Bird. I guess we'll find out if it smells for Trent, but I'm pretty sure it will. It's one of the few text boxes in the game we're not allowed to skip in any way, shape, or form. Not sure why that is, but that's just how it is. So we'll quickly use that item to enter our next dungeon, which 17 Bird is currently navigating Tackle Tower. And what you'll see is a lot of running into these skeletons. These skeletons have a good chance to drop some pike balls. Actually, even though their drop rate's low, it feels much higher. And what they ideally like to see is some super pike ball drops here. Right now, 17 only getting the standard pike balls at this particular point. But going into this room, where we're going to be picking up another key that will be carried forward to dungeon later to save some time here. And most runners opt for this particular route because they drop the chance off the Batgirl, who gives a super pike ball 17 Bird. It's not the worst drop, but not the best either. But that's the main reason for coming here, is the drop chance for that particular girl and what she's able to provide. The other things that she can drop is a super monster milk and a pirate flare. Ideally, you want to see a super monster milk in this scenario. So we'll see what Trent gets as he takes on the Batgirl now.
So Trent must not have got a pike ball here, so he will be not quite getting the 3 cycle. It's possible to get it without a pike ball, but he should kill him with the 4th one here. Yeah, and not getting anything, unfortunately. Yeah,
Trent's RNG has not been the kindest, obviously, because a pike ball is a pretty common drop in these skeletons, and to not get one going through this dungeon, it's unfortunate, very unfortunate.
This Bird leaves behind 5 gems, which might not seem like a lot, but there are very many times, that's not even good English, there are a lot of times when you happen to be 1 or 2, even 5 gems short of being able to buy another item in the shop.
Alright, well, 17 Bird coming up to his next boss, which is the giant spider that was about to eat Roddy at the beginning of the island here. So, what you're going to notice here is 17 Bird's going to employ most likely a rather risky strat to quickly deal with this boss by jumping up into her hitbox. And ideally what you want to do is get stuck in that hitbox and let that pike ball kind of help supplement and deal a lot of the damage here, as he's doing a fantastic job. You know, he had a little rough start there, but now he's just nailing it. The reason that works, and it's very tight timing, is Shantae, when she takes damage in the air, can either be knocked back, or if you whip right before you take that damage, you'll take a stun. And that stun refreshes her jumping and the cannons and everything, so he's able to just hover there, and that was actually a really, really good fight for 17 Bird, considering not losing his auto potion, which is the more important thing, and that's what makes this fight so risky, is because you're running the risk of completely draining your entire life, and it's always within 1 or 2 hit points left by the time that this fight ends with that particular strat.
Yeah, what was really impressive is when he didn't get stuck to begin with, he stayed down for a little bit to get some extra damage off before going back into the hitbox, so he knew exactly that he was down damage for the amount of health he's taken, and then went back in once he had made up that damage safely. So that was very, very well done by him.
Yeah, and unfortunately Trent did lose his auto potion in his fight, had a little struggle there, took a knockback, which cost him a little bit of time and damage opportunity. So he will be auto potionless potentially for the remainder of the run. Oh, 17 Bird getting the Momentumless Boots after getting a Monster Milk in the initial tan line charge. Didn't even opt for the gems, obviously, but the Momentumless Boots is another frame-perfect trick where you don't have to do the risky shuffle to charge up. He was able to maintain it by doing a perfect release and then re-enabling of the directional button during a jump and not having to do that charge. So really, really well done on that first initial visit to tan line as he gets the X-ray specs from Squid Baron. And we'll start doing some revisits to get the password that we will need to progress forward.
So this is likely where you'll see some deviation between the runs, because Trent still has that additional flair. What he'll do is, I imagine he will go to Scuttletown before going to Sliver Island, whereas Bird is going the other way, because Bird will be shopping when he goes to Scuttletown, so he picks up 30 gems here, whereas Trent probably won't be shopping, so he can do it the other way around and not worry about those 30 gems straight away.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I mean, we know 17 Bird definitely needs some more flares here soon, so would expect the second shop, but I don't know how much he's looking to buy here. It looks like, what do you have, like 150?
160-ish, I think, after the 30 gems there. 140 even, wow, that's very low.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what he buys here, because he's definitely going to need flares, and that's already about half of that money.
If he buys all 5 flares he needs, he has exact amount of money for that. That'll be 140 gems for those 5 flares.
Trent opting to go back for that item drop. Unfortunately, it was just a meat chunklet. I think he's still in need of a bubble shield for his safety towards the end of the run, so he's still looking for that item. Lucky to not take that knockback from that mermaid there. That could have sent him flying into the death pit below, as he also gets the 30 gems. He's only got about 135 at this particular point of the run, although he's not looking to do a shop here if he's following the route that we believe. So I think he might be a little higher than you normally be, even in a 2-shop run at this point.
Yeah, so Bird, I think, did pick up the 5 pirate flares there, so if all RNG goes in his favour, he does not need to shop again.
Yes, FF3 lock. The players do start with the movement abilities. This is the new game plus mode for pirate mode, which gives you all of Risky's pirate gear right out of the gate. So we're able to plow right through all the story triggers without any issues. 17 Bird, I didn't see a single super pike ball in his initial run through the bridge there, so...
And he didn't get the gems either. He is going for 2 shops no matter what.
Yeah, he's gonna let RNG be what it is, and he's gonna ride with whatever he gets by the look of it.
Might have got a super pike ball there, but not 100% sure.
Yeah, it was really hard to see with that long string of items that he did pick up. I don't believe I saw one, because there's a slight size difference in the text box, should that be a thing, even in that regard, of getting the rapid fire. It looked like they were all normal pike balls to me, but we'll get an inventory check relatively soon and really see what he got.
Yeah, Trent's got a monster milk on his way through, and he did stop to pick up the gems as well, so... Yeah, he didn't go to the shop when he was on there, so he'll be heading to the shop when he goes to pick up the death mask.
He's not happy with his RNG. I don't blame him for going for every gem opportunity right now, as it looks like he's going to need to do some extensive shopping the way things are going. All regular pike balls on both charges through the Skeleton Bridge as well, so can't be too happy with that either, but fortunately a 3-pack super pike balls only cost 100 gems. It's the monster milks that'll be the interesting part, so see how he decides to play that when he does do his next job.
Yeah, so at the moment he basically has 72 gems to play with, although he will be getting more before the shop, as the pirate flesh you need will cost him 110 gems.
Yeah, and he still needs that bubble, which is another 25, so he's got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, thankfully you have plenty of chances to get bubble shields and milks and things between now and the shop. That's one of the reasons why I like the strategy, because if you bought a bubble shield in the last shop, if you were going for 2 shots there, then you get 2 here, you've just wasted 25 gems.
Oh, 17 Bird with a scary little thing in the last room here. So this Metal Gear Shantae segment basically is try not to get caught. It's a stealth thing, and that middle guard, that was close. He got the 1 cycle, but he almost got spotted, and smartly realizing that, you know, the vision is on a plane, and jumping up and out of that line of sight just in the nick of time. That could have cost him upwards of about 40 seconds or even more, being caught there. So very fortunate and very smart play from 17 Bird to avoid that.
Yeah, so the doors you see him opening now are what we collected the keys for previously. If we hadn't done that, we'd have to go out of our way in this dungeon to pick up the keys normally. So thankfully, as Keys are global, we just picked the ones up earlier, saving us quite a lot of time.
Oh, I did not see that, Esco. I was watching what was happening on Trent's screen, but Esco pointing out that he used the scimitar on the code to get the code. It's not always a guarantee, but sometimes everything falls in place when you hit all three of those with the scimitar twice. So a little bit of a time save then for 17 Bird to not have to whip each individual thing to open the door.
Yeah, Bird is on a very good pace here.
Sub 30 in this is really good.
Yeah, so probably around high to mid 51s to 52 pace currently, although RNG will play a big factor in that.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the most stocked. We'll get a quick inventory check here, maybe. It's one of the free opportunities to pull up the menu and not lose time when we get the this segment is just opened for you sounds, so we'll see if he does do a check when that happens. Nope. Okay. We're gonna ride in the dark on his inventory. I've not fully caught everything, but I know he hasn't gotten everything he's looking for at this point.
I know he's got a Monster Milk, a Super Pipe Ball, and a Bubble Shield. So that's enough for one boss. I don't know what he's going to do with the others.
Missing the opportunity for Momentalist Boots there. It's no big deal. It's just a quick recharge for 2 seconds. And moving right on. He's not going to farm any Scorpions, and I kind of know that from him. He just refuses to do that. So he'll get a couple of opportunities here. These cactuses can drop Monster Milk. I have a couple of Scorpions to kill as well throughout the route. So we'll just see what RNG gives for him, if anything. There's one Monster Milk. See if we get an inventory check from Trent while he's waiting for the secrets to open. One Monster Milk and no Super Pikes. Ouch. So Trent is also really hurting from an RNG perspective. The items have not been kind. Nice Monster Milk. 2 Monster Milk drops for Bird. So really good items there. That helps him a lot.
He's still 1 milk down there on what he would ideally like to have, so it'll be interesting to see where he uses those as Trent. Yet very not happy with his RNG and killing this Scorpion and getting rewarded with 5 gems. Yeah,
unfortunately, that's the most common drop of the 3 things that she can do. It's not always in your favor to do it. It takes some time to kill them, as they take 6 cannon strikes to kill, and they block your hair whip kind of consistently. So it's a little bit of a time loss doing that. I suspect Trent will use the extra, or grab the extra key here, because it'll give him another Scorpion chance. Right now, you know, this slight delay, it does save him time a bit later, but I think gives Bird just a little bit more edge in regards to the lead at this point. And again, not anything of real good importance from that Scorpion. 17 Bird looks like he's handling Squid Baron just fine. This boss really quick is kind of a cycle based. He always starts out with a charge, and then he does this jumping pattern, and then he does the charge and spinning thing again. Bird opting with a regular Monster Milk from the damage that I saw, using a Super Pike Ball, getting it right on script, so had to deal with the charge, the jumps, the charge again, but taking him out during that charge phase, or right at the end of that charge phase, he knew that going into the 2.0 phase, that Squid Baron was going to go into an eat-in pattern, which allows you to wail on him and out-damage his little healing that's going on there. So really good fight from 17 Bird, looked pretty solid. I didn't see any issues there.
Trent's getting a Super Monster Milk from the Scorpions, but that's all he got. I don't think he even got a regular Monster Milk. I don't think he has a Bubble Shield. He doesn't have a Super Pike Ball. I don't think. That's in a really bad spot for him. He's going to have to take some of these bosses very conservatively in terms of item usage.
Yeah, because again, he doesn't have his auto potion. He's going to go with a super monster milk and a regular pike ball, and I don't blame him on this one. Squid Baron is a little rough, and especially when you start missing out on the cycles and things, it's better to try to get him in cycle even with the minimal items that he's got. Unfortunately, not getting him before the eating phase started, so he knows now that he's going to have to deal with 2 more charges and a rather extensive jumping segment here, so... kind of scary on Trent's side, but if he handles everything properly, he should still be able to get past this boss, since he chose not to save before this fight. Meanwhile, 17 Bird is currently going through the casual's nightmare known as Mudbog Island. This one we can trivialize with proper platforming and timing of jumps and cannons, but any mistake here, you can get swarmed really quick. And the damage does spike a little bit from what we've run into prior to this. So, again, you know, veteran runners, they know how to handle everything. He just charges through there, no problem, as Trent finishes up with Squid Baron. So, still about, I'd say, yeah, what's the gap now? About a minute and a half, 2 minutes between the two?
Yeah, about a minute and a half, I'd say. I think there's about a minute leaving 10 line. Probably about, another 30 seconds there in... the Lost Catacombs. So yeah, very interesting to see what Trent decides to buy on the shop here. He might revert to a 3 shop here with the luck he's been having, but if not, he will get his 4 pirate flares, which will be 110. He needs to get a bubble shield, which is 25, so that leaves him not a lot left for anything else. So Super Monster Milk, or is he going to get? He's going to get Super Monster Milk, so that leaves him 1 Super Monster Milk and I believe 1 normal Monster Milk, and then just regular pike balls for the rest.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little rough on Dagron, but it's not, impossible. I don't fault him for that. I think he might want to entertain potentially getting more, but at least he's covered his bases for the Pirate Master. As 17 Bird is going through the Village of Lost Souls right now, he's on a little fetch quest for these 3 coins. He's already gotten 2, and he's making his way to his final one. These are needed in order to play our little game of RNG to move forward in the game. So employing there at the end on the red coin a animation skip using a piece of food, which saves a little bit of time. And eating animation or drinking animation from a potion is shorter than the collection animation that you would get whenever collecting an item. And having no problems navigating through here. It looks like it's been a very clean Village of Lost Souls for him.
So he'll get heads, tails 3 times in a row.
Probably, yeah. Unfortunately, this game is full on RNG. It's a game of heads or tails with these 3 guys. And to progress on, you have to get correct each one of these particular ones in order. You're going either heads or tails, so it's a 50-50 chance. We usually opt to just go all heads because menuing is slow. So opting to go tails. But some people have crafted the idea if they get 2 heads in a row, they'll go tails on the red gamer, and sometimes it works and other times it doesn't. That wasn't terrible from Bird. I think he had like 2 tails immediately and then he got through.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so he didn't trigger the failsafe, so quite lucky in that regard. But yeah, pretty good. Only having to do 5 conversations is probably about below average, I'd say, for the gamers.
Yeah, that seems about right. And as he mentioned, the failsafe there, what happens is if you fail the game 3 times, then the game will just give you the win. So you could choose heads or tails, it doesn't matter. Whatever you pick will always be correct and let you through. So as brutal as this game could be on that front, they choose not to be that evil to you and leave you there forever trying to win an RNG game. So we'll see how it goes. Trent taking a little bit of damage there. This is really scary for him at this point. The Reapers do 4 points of damage. The Nagas do 4 points of damage. Again, he does not have an auto potion. So this could quickly go south on him if he's not very careful navigating through here.
Yeah, and with the Ghost doing 2 points of damage here, he has to be careful. He did pick up some gems, which is why he did take the damage from the Reaper, as he was out of position for that. So he is going to do another shot. He is not happy with RNG this run. So
I don't blame him. All right, 17 Bird just trivialized the dungeon using the risky shuffle. That's what that capability allows us to do. This dungeon is a long, winding, kind of big loop, and because of the risky shuffle being a thing, it allows us to completely negate everything that this dungeon was designed for. and allow him to just go right to the boss, which he just starts up now and is taking on Dagron. And he's going with a regular Monster Milk, regular Pike Ball configuration. I anticipate probably a good 3 cycle here. But the boss isn't too terribly difficult. He just swoops in from one side to the other in turn, and you just kind of have to anticipate whether he's going to go long or short. Most runners, like Bird is doing, is opting to kind of be around that outside pillar, gives you a good chance to react one way or another. Had a little bit of fumble there, but maintained control. The fight did not get out of hand, which that can happen towards the latter part as Dagron gets faster the more damage he takes. And moves on. So decent fight from 17 Bird given the lower configuration of items he's opted for.
Tinker Bats.
So Trent picking up his manly must to enter the Uglet of Suffering as Bird picks up his the penultimate map to head to Frostbite Island.
Yeah, Trent unfortunately losing a little bit more ground because of the extra gems that he's opted to pick up. Again, don't fault him for it. RNG has been really brutal to Trent this particular run, but we'll see what the upcoming boss will have to say about 17 Bird's progress.
Pirate Flare activated.
And again, having to traverse back here is important because the rest of that area is considered indoors. You're not able to use that Pirate Flare until you get to that point, so this reason for the platforming to get back to that particular part before leaving the island. As 17 Bird now starts his trek onto Frostbite. This is kind of where a lot of people would get caught off guard. This particular island has some really nasty ice physics on these slopes, and to add to the danger, these wolves that you see there tend to be waiting at the bottom of those slopes, and they do 6 points of damage, which is a heart and a half, and both runners, as you see, are running 2 hearts. So a couple of missteps here could quickly turn things very sour in speed run, considering. As 17 Bird looks like he's opting to run through some things here, try to see if he can get a drop from one of these wolves.
They have a very, very low drop chance of a Super Pipe Ball and an even rarer chance of a Super Monster Milk, so Bird would be happy with either, and running through them if you kill them all. As you can see now, as he touches them, he loses no time at all. So there's about maybe a second or two lost throughout by deciding to charge into them. But if you want those drops, it's worth it.
Trent also doing the Dagron fight with a regular Pike Ball and a regular Monster Milk. Took a bit of damage there as Dagron is now speeding up. We'll see. He cannot really take another hit from Dagron. So, okay, got him. Phew! A little close on Trent's side, but again, survived the boss. So both runners at least doing relatively well, considering that RNG has not favored either one of them too much.
So interested if Bird here will use his auto potion to try the auto potion jump. I don't know if he's been that's something he's been practicing or not.
Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on that. So again, relatively new trick, not... Oops, forgetting the jump there at the end, took a fall, or he may have done that on purpose, and he is setting up potentially for this auto potion jump. That makes sense. Normally you would take damage on the spikes going up the chains leading up to this area, but he may figure that this is his setup for it. So I'm pretty much going to bet on it that he's probably going to go for it here. Yep. Did not get it. Nope. Yeah, that's a 2-frame window, and how that works is use the auto potion. If you're holding a directional either left or right, Shantae will go into her walking animation, and then you have 2 frames before gravity kicks in, where you can actually jump off of the invisible quote-unquote ground, and that extra jump is necessary in order to get the mandatory height to make it up to the next platform, which then is just 1 room away from Bolo rather than going around. Again, not a huge time loss for missing it. You just kind of lose the time of menuing a couple of times, one to get to the auto potion, one to get to the Pirate Flare. So it's not a huge time loss, but it would net you 10 seconds of time save to get it. So I don't blame him. I don't blame him for going for it. But again, unfortunate that he wasn't able to nail that down.
Yeah, the biggest issue with either getting it or not getting it is that you don't have your auto potion for the final 2 boss fights.
Yeah, it comes down to your confidence on being able to deal with the last 2 fights, indeed.
Not a huge deal on Steel Maggot. Steel Maggot can be deadly, but generally you can play that safe. But on Pirate Master, the final boss, he can very easily kill you in one hit.
Yeah, especially if you're under-equipped, and I believe both runners now at least have their bubbles. So the projectiles, which are the real threat in the Pirate Master fight that one-shot you, are not a threat there. But too many hugs with the Pirate Master could be a problem.
There's Trent having a little trouble with the slopes there. You can see how dangerous they are. Slopes normally in this game are annoying to land on, and as they are, and they can just randomly cut out your charge. But these ice slopes in particular are especially bad for it.
17 Bird just kind of about midway point to his next little bit of fetch questing. Had to stop back at Roddy's place to get that soul that we received as a reward for finishing the Oblate of the Suffering, which we find out is the spirit of Joe, and he's now beginning his charge to Branson, where he gets a super pike ball from his Scarecrow. So I don't know if he needed that at this particular point of the run, but still a fortunate drop.
Yeah, mostly is one super pike ball. I think he only got one drop throughout the run, so he'll definitely have been wanting that. That will come in handy. It won't save much time on Steel Maggot, if not any time at all, but can come in handy on Pirate Master.
Yeah, super pike ball would be probably a little bit more beneficial on. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. Like, there's so much health on Steel Maggot that any DPS output, matters. That's why we basically make it a cardinal rule: do not do Steel Maggot milkless. So it'll be interesting to see if that's the only one he's got, which boss he opts for.
His Trent's up to 100 gems now, so that could get him. Ideally, I guess he would like 15 more gems, which would be able to buy him a super pike ball and a super monster milk. But we will see what he gets. And if he goes through Scarecrow Fields before going to the shop, which I imagine he will, he should get those 15 gems, no trouble.
All right, 17 Bird just sent Techno Baron off to Half Genie Hero, the next game of the series, with a misfired cannon shot thanks to our friend Bolo, who Trent just worshipped on his screen there. That opens up our next dungeon there. That shot obviously was intended for the Palace. Because Bolo is not very good at creating electronics, that thing misfired big time, and will now allow 17 Bird to head into next and final, I'll say dungeon, or like final, kind of a loose term, but going into the real final dungeon in regards to any real content, because we skipped the majority of the last one. No, he didn't get the key in Tan line, so we'll probably see him going through all three keys here. He grabs the first one, no problem.
Interesting if he doesn't go for all three keys. I don't know what he'd do if he didn't.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit of a time loss if he even, I've only need the 2 keys. You actually do need 3 to be able to get through here, so I don't know that he's adopted the Tan line strat the way Trent has in regards to that, and he's been very, I guess, accepting of the RNG that he's been given, so I don't, there'd be no reason to have him deviate from that point.
Yeah, that's one of the very fun things about this run, is that there are so many little adjustments you can make. So you can choose to get different keys, you can choose to kill different enemies at certain points, farm gems at certain points. It's a very fluid run, and yeah, your strategy changes throughout the run depending on how it's going. So one of the really fun things about this game.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, there's so many different philosophies, and as you say, the RNG does matter in regards to what you opt to kill, what you don't opt to kill, which direction you go, and things like that. It's a very, very interesting run, because it's almost like you're playing a mental chess match with the RNG. As Bird trying to get that pincer in on the Steel Maggot, fumbled a little bit, but not too bad. It was still a decent amount of damage in the first cycle, as he's getting really lucky with the RNG codes on this boss. It looks like he knows what he's doing and what these codes are, but I assure you that those buttons are RNG. The 3-button press order is random, and that was a really fast fight for 17 Bird on Steel Maggot.
I think he's on target for a 51, maybe just about.
Yeah, he's keeping the RNG, like the impact of the RNG that he's got. He's keeping it very, very low with some really good luck on the bosses and some solid execution right now. Trent just revived Joe, who's breaking up with her best friend Sky. It's kind of awkward, so we'll just quickly leave that situation, and we'll be opening up his way into the abandoned factory, as 17 Bird is now handing over the grave map we'll be heading to our final island, but not our final destination for this run.
So it looks like Trent already went to the shop. I didn't see what he bought.
I didn't either. I was watching Bird's fight with the steel maggot, so I missed what he purchased. But he pretty much spent everything he had. I just don't know if he had the 115 or if he had just the 100. If he had the 100, that wouldn't. I'm not sure what he would have purchased at that point.
Yeah, maybe Super Monster Milk, and he had more than. He had 103 before, so he must have got more than just the 100. So I imagine he did get to the 115 he wanted.
Yeah, unless he just opted for 2 regular Monster Milks in that regard, because those are 50 a pop. Nope, he did not, because I see a Super Monster Milk in his inventory.
Yeah, so Trent getting through the final scary section of the game, the entrance into the abandoned factory. It's one of 3 main points where the PC version can crash, and thankfully not happening today.
Yeah. The 17 Bird on his final charge. As you can see, the Scarecrow Fields is quite dark and ominous now. The Pirate Master has moved in, he's taken over, and things are not looking happy, as he's not opting to take the up and over route. He decided to run through the walls, so not really chancing any potential time loss in getting caught on a corner or anything. And will begin his ascent of the Pirate Master's Palace. Even in No Out of Bounds, we're able to skip a lot of what's intended here. This is a pretty nasty place of very tricky and painful platforming, as you were intended to go through these rooms, but with extremely precise use of the hat and the cannons, you're able to actually just skip up these platforms like no problem, not have to deal with the Pirate Master trials, and just get yourself up to that Pirate Master to take him on here. 17 Bird is putting on a clinic with this right now. Hasn't missed a single one, and even got probably one of the more difficult ones there with that left to right one. So an extremely excellent ascent for 17 Bird as he's now charging into the final fight.
Yeah, Trent having a little trouble with Steel Maggot here, and he's using a regular, no Monster Milk at all, and a Super Pike Ball. I think this will be a 3 cycle.
Bare minimum. If he gets the Super Pike Ball in there every time, he could do it in 3. Fortunately, has that bubble to avoid the damage from those shots when he gets the code wrong.
Yeah, looks like just managed to get a 3 cycle there by Trent. Very nicely done.
Yep. Yeah, being under geared and under buff like that, that's actually a really good fight from Trent. So good to see that he did not lose too much time there, other than just the damage output from the hair strikes. 17 Bird finishes. Have an official SRL time of 51.26 for 17 Bird, so that'll net him his next win for the tournament, which I believe will put him at a
3-1 now.
3-1. Yep, 3-1. So puts him really solid position to move into the bracket phases. We're starting to close out kind of our group phase here. A lot of racers finally getting in their 4th and final race. So good showing by Bird throughout this entire one. I think he's had the 2nd fastest average times throughout this particular one. It's 51 will certainly mitigate issues that happen in his last race on his average times. So really helps him from a seeding perspective.
Yeah, I think that's the 3rd quickest run we've had so far. Might be 2nd quickest. I can't remember exactly what Turkey's 51s were, but they were in the same ballpark.
Yeah, it's the 3rd fastest time overall in the tournament. Turkey having a 51.07 and again a 51.17. So right there in the ballpark is 17 Bird with that 51.26. So.
But Trent could just about be on for a 54 here, so that could be a. I think he can just about sneak into the 54s, if I'm not mistaken.
If he does, that's going to be another PB. I think he actually did get a PB of 54.26 earlier today in a practice round. So he's right around his PB range right now at this pace. We'll see how his Pirate Master fight goes as he gets cornered. This game's corners are very notorious for just suddenly stopping you out of nowhere. And if you clip one, as you saw there, it just kills all of your momentum, and then now you're fair game for all the hidden monsters in the shadows there. That's a little unfortunate platforming, but not overly dangerous, just an annoyance.
Yeah, no, this pace is very good for Trent considering the RNG he had and the fact he had to go for that additional shot because of it. So very good run by him.
Yeah. We'll see how his ascent goes there. Gets the first one, no problem. Ooh, barely catching that chain. That was close. Okay, I thought he was a little fast on the cannons there, but the game proved me wrong. Let him have it. All right, that's not a bad climb. That's a really good climb by Trent as well. So, the rest of this is pretty easy. No super precise. It's a little bit more lenient. So, he'll be heading into his Pirate Master fight, and we'll see how RNG plays for him. Just to kind of give a little more context of what's going on here, the Pirate Master's phase here, he basically will start out by teleporting to left, middle, or right. He never goes to the middle after the first initial one there. So you ideally want to see him just go between one side and the middle, like that. And, other times he'll tend to go one side for the complete other, which is unfortunate because you do miss out on a little bit of damage output. The bubbles there, again, do cause 8 points of damage, but the bubble shield completely negates them, so you don't have to worry about that as a one-shot kill. Physical contact with the Pirate Master, as Trent just demonstrated, is 4 points of damage. And after the Spinal phase, we'll go into a corner, line up these lasers, and these lasers would one-shot, but generally, like that, you get enough damage. Trenter finishing in second place in this race with a 55.03 official SRL time, so... both runners running pretty good considering what the PBs are, both in range of their official best times. So, again, 17 Bird taking the win here. Trent, I believe, now moves to a...
Makes him 2-1, I think.
1 and 2, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's right, because the crash that he had in the other race. So. But GG on that, and we'll see if either one wants to come in for an interview. I see Trent there waiting, so Bajati, if you're good, I'll drag him in.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Hello, Trenter.
Hello. Oh, was a nice race. I hope the viewers enjoyed it.
Oh, there he is. Okay, Birdie Boy just joining us as well. But yeah, Trent, that RNG was not your friend in that particular one. It required an extra shop, even though you did a setup for the 2-shop route. But I don't know what your thoughts were on what the RNG was doing to you in that run.
The RNG? What RNG? I saw nothing.
Yeah, it was rough. We were just like, where are the drops? Where are the drops? And you pretty much had to buy everything.
Yeah. You can't do
Birdie?
anything.
Oh, go ahead, Trent.
What's done?
Okay. Hey, Birdie, congrats on the win, and welcome to the post-game interview. Really solid run as well. Any thoughts on how your run went?
I mean, RNG-wise, my run went pretty perfectly. I mean, being able to skip that third shot saved a lot of time.
Yeah, it was kind of it was interesting because we were watching and we were wondering exactly what shopping route you were going for, especially when you used that pipe or the pirate flare off of Saliva Island.
Yeah, I always like to buy that extra just to save like about 7 or so seconds in the early game.
Yeah. But yeah, you handled your RNG was a little bit more forgiving than unfortunately, Trent got. Seemed like everything kind of fell into place, so you were able to kind of plug right on through. Little underpowered, I think, for some bosses, but you handled it well, so really good execution. And
I think that was just for a dagger on that I was underpowered, really. An extra super pike would have been really helpful there. Other than that, I think Steel Maggot was really nice to me. I didn't fail the guessing that many times.
Yeah, he was super kind. You were nailing those combos really quick, so yeah, it was quick work
failed
on
the one
that.
cycle. I was completely off, but it still got a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Made the fight go by quicker overall.
All right, Majadi, any questions?
No, I don't think anything from me. Is really close race for the points of both very good runs indeed. So congratulations to both of you.
Final thoughts from you guys, Bird, Trenter?
I think that's pretty much it for me.
Trent, you look forward to your next race or upcoming final one? All right. All right. Well, definitely follow the runners. Both Trencher TR 17 Bird, both putting on really good show. Again, both right in their PB range. So it was really good to watch them both and put on a great show. So appreciate them taking the time out to race for us today. We don't have any more races for this particular one today. In fact, our next scheduled races for this game will be on the 11th. Where we have the Sound Defense getting ready to take on Cake Sauce. That'll be at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're not sure what channel that will be on at this point, but do keep an eye on the Speed Gaming schedule for that. And also on the 12th and 13th, we have a couple more races slated with Sound Defense and Zick facing off on the 12th. Jangle Storm and Malone on the 13th, and myself and Kid of Seth will be facing off on the 13th as well. So, again, keep an eye on Speed Gaming schedule and go ahead and check out anything that's going on there. I'm not sure what's happening on Speed Gaming at this time, but definitely stay tuned either with Auto Host or next available race that'll be coming up. And also follow my partner Majadi here. Fabulous runner of this game as well. I believe you're now top 3 as well, good sir.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, hopefully knock one of the birds down soon, but we'll see.
Yeah, the targeted birds are within the sights there, so definitely check him out as well. And we appreciate everyone coming out and watching this race and supporting everything that we're doing here. So for the broadcast booth, this is JT Norimaki signing off, and we will see you guys on the next race.
See you guys.